Hello. Firstly, apologise for the snoring. My assistant today is taking a bit of a break. Poor lad. It's hard work being that busy. Okay, and the other one is trying to wash his bowls underneath my desk. Anyway, firstly, apologies for my absence. Been busy. Well, basically went away for 3 days with the wife to Edinburgh, and as a result of that, got way behind with my clients. So I've been playing catch up, but I'm back now. So um, I want to talk about. Well, it's actually the Guardian. Now, the Guardian seems to be having a little bit of a splurge on steroids at the moment. For those that don't know, the Guardian newspaper also has a heavy presence online, is regarded as one of the more reputable papers in the UK. Now, they recently published an interview with a guy called John, who was admitting to taking all sorts of shit in the pursuit for his amazing body and could not give up. And then they also published an article stating that it was felt that there was 1 million people in the UK using PEDs. Well, it is old news, but it does look that things are finally starting to bring attention. This could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Currently, as I've said previously, there's no intention on changing law. And in fact, the head of the PCC, which is Police Commissioners Chair, sorry, Police Chiefs Council, sorry, is a guy called Commander Simon Bray. Now, he said he wanted to clamp down on steroid sales and steroid manufacture. One of the bigwigs in Kent Police also said this about 2 weeks ago. Now, I know Simon Bray has been making sniffings through most of last year through police forces about where they were at with steroid cases, what they were doing. And I know there is some criticism, possibly classed as criticism, definitely some statements from various officials, including police members, that the police are ill-equipped to deal with steroid sales, and they are under-resourced to deal with them, and quite frankly, they just can't be asked. Now, this stuff hasn't hit the press yet, which has surprised me, but it's going to do at some point, which is probably why Commander Bray is currently championing this. We need to do more, and we need to attack the sale of. However, the change of law from a usage point of view within the UK, put this way, I'd be incredibly shocked if anything happened there. It's just so impractical, it's so unenforceable. I mean, at the moment, Border Control have literally hundreds of addresses they feel are associated with the importation or the manufacture of steroids, and they haven't done a thing with them. And they haven't done a thing with them because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the resources, they don't have the time, and quite frankly, they've got bigger fish to fry. So, from an enforcement point of view, it's generally low priority. I think where the issue is arising is it's bad press. So any reaction we do get, and I do expect there to be a couple of operations targeting steroid use, so I say steroid sale or steroid manufacture, are more than anything else PR moves. NCA, National Crime Agency, gets somewhere in the region of 2 steroid cases across their door from supply a week on average, and very few of them actually hit prosecution. So, don't be panicking. I don't think anything's going to really change. But what I found amusing about this was it is literally how out of touch people are. Oi, pack it in. Decided they want to fight. I mean, Josie Smith, who runs at Public Health Wales, I know Josie, I've met Josie, she's a lovely woman. But she's saying there's been extraordinary. She's quoted as saying there's been extraordinary changes in both the profile of people using iPads and development of the substances. That was 5 years ago. This information's years old. It's just now they're suddenly cotton on. But one of the reasons they are cottoning on, and one of the reasons why this is becoming an issue, is, and I will find it and quote it exactly from the article, the evidence is emerging that steroids will cost the NHS millions. That's it. Because you fuckers don't look after yourselves or each other, you're now looking at a situation where someone's having to foot the bill, and that's creating attention. Now, there was some now Joe Keane, who runs Bradford Needle Exchange, good lad Joe, he heads up the national survey, and there were some interesting things came out of that. 58% of people who were surveyed were concerned with testicular problems. 41% had difficulties with sleep. 39% had mood swings. 39% reported increased aggression or ability. 37% reported acne. And within women, 56% reported sickness. 53% reported sleeping difficulties. 36% for mood swings. 25% reported change in sex drive, which surprised me actually. I thought that would be a little higher. I really did. But there were some interesting little bits out of that report. But they are saying, and this is where Joe's saying 900,000. Well, we all know that people don't really fill in reports. We're reluctant as users to admit or put our name to anything. So, I still think 2 million is a more realistic number. I really do. Now, they go on a little bit about manufacture, unclean environment, and this sort of stuff. Now, we all know that if a lab out there is dirty, it doesn't last very long. People will soon black market, and it will soon be drummed out. But obviously, labs aren't pharma grade, and they don't have that same level of checking or sanitization as pharma grade would do. So there is plausible reason for a comment in there. But the big driving factor of all this is health. The big driving factor of an increase in interest is health, and it's the fact that someone's going to have to foot the bill for fixing people when they fuck themselves up. A cardio doctor based in the University of London had turned around and said that he is seeing people through his doors in their 40s and 50s with cardiac issues that used in their 20s. And I know you're all going to go, well, that could be a genetic problem, that could be this, could be that. So far this year, as far as I'm aware, about 8 people within our clique, within our group, whatever you want to call users, have died of heart attacks. We're not even at the end of January. Yeah, the writing's on the wall. It's about time as a community we stop making excuses and start facing up to the fact that our usage is resulting in people dying. Yes, there are other factors sometimes. Yes, it's not always that simple, but the fact still remains that if they didn't use steroids, they wouldn't be dead. So, we've got to pay more attention to our health markers. We've got to pay more attention to the people within our community's health markers. We've got to definitely invest more in blood testing and monitoring our health and keeping ourselves healthier. And fuck me, I'm one of the worst abusers there was. And I still don't think there's a reason for that we should be saying don't use. I just think that we need to be sensible. and we need to start developing an ethos of more in the sense of work effort in the gym, more in the sense of health concerns, and less in the sense of usage, because doses are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And some of the doses I'm seeing, especially in reflection of the physiques that are attached to them, I just think, what the fuck? And some of the justifications that are coming out for these doses is just ludicrous. We're terrible. We as a user community justify things. We lie to ourselves to make ourselves feel better, to make ourselves sleep easier at night. You know, all these people have died because, oh, it would be genetics, it'd be a family problem, it'll be this, it'll be that. Come on. You know, how many more people have to pass before we start accepting that these drugs are probably more harmful than we've given them credit for, and particularly at the general doses that the ill-educated run these days. You know, if you're a gram and a half guy and you keep things pretty tight and you look after yourself, you're probably going to get away pretty well unscathed. But these guys that are pushing into 2-3 grams, shitloads of tren, guilty. You're going to have problems. And you know, there will always be exceptions. There will always be, well, my old mate's done it all his life, never done a PCT, and he's fine. Yeah, there will always be exceptions. There will always be liars as well. But the bottom line remains that people are passing away and people are getting ill, and it's starting to become commonplace. And the more commonplace it becomes, the more attention usage is going to get. And I would like to think that's going to result in more education and more support for users, and a removal of this stigma. But unfortunately, I think it will push things the other way as well. So we've only got ourselves to blame, and we should be looking after each other. We should be looking after our community. I do a lot of coaching, as you know, but I also do a lot of training coaching, and the level, or should I say the lack of knowledge within training, I find quite astounding. Even people that have been around 10, 15 years, they've built a pretty decent physique. Their understanding of training and their ability to push or train hard or be very effective with their training is still quite poor. And if we spent as much time researching training and learning advice about how to train and how to be more effective with our training as we did with drugs, we'd all be getting a lot better results. I mean, like I said, the Guardian, I mean, bear in mind though, I do want to say one thing. I filmed with the Guardian when we did the Northwest Strength Expo, and they produced a piece and it went for final cut, and the guy that put it together was told that he had to make it more negative. And he added a piece that wasn't even factually correct, you know, to appease his bosses and remove quite a bit of what we spoke about together because it was too neutral. You know, the papers and the media outlets are going to put a negative spin on this because it sells papers and it's what they feel the mass general public think and want to hear. They're not going to produce the truth because they don't want to be in any way seen as being pro-usage. And plus, they don't want to upset their large reader population. And as you can imagine with The Guardian, it ain't fucking meatheads that tend to buy this paper. So, you know, they manage the information they put out there to suit their target audience. But having said all that, the writing's on the wall. People are passing way too young. And these are just regular guys that train in a local gym. They're not competitive. They're nothing special. But unfortunately, you know, they're not looking after themselves. So if you guys want to keep our community going and you don't want masses of governmental interference, then it's up to you guys to spread the word. Be conscientious and take responsibility not only for your own advice you give out and for people you speak to, but for supporting those around you who may be using higher doses and may be risking their health. Far too many are going, and I have no doubt it'll be more. I actually think that this year, 2018, is going to be a massive year of change when it comes to steroid awareness. There's growing media interest. There's growing governmental interest. There's growing enforcement interest. Now, I'm hoping off the back of this is going to create a network of support, because over the previous 5-10 years, support has been whittled down and reduced, and funding's been cut and taken away. I've seen it in needle exchanges. I've now seen it in the military, and I hope that this exposure will force these agencies to start reconsidering their approach and start offering more conscientious and more complete and comprehensive advice and support for users. But at the end of the day, we need to look after ourselves as well, and we need to look after each other. So, having said all that, I'm going to piss off. I hope you're all well, and I'll get another video done about where we're going with training and shit like. So take care, and I'll speak to you soon.